All right, folks, today what we're going to do is a style breakdown. We're going to go through Ryan Reynolds' style, and we're going to talk about some of the key pieces that he owns, how to put together outfits, and of course, where he buys his stuff from or where his people buy his stuff from. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about his overall style and some things that we're seeing across the board. So a handful of photos here we're going to go through. Basically, what we would consider his style is somewhat rugged, like modern rugged. And the reason for this is if you look, there's this guy, he wears tons of fabric that would be considered more outdoorsy or utilitarian, or items that would be considered outdoorsy or utilitarian. So take a look at some of the pants that he's wearing, right? A lot of times what we're looking at is denim, right? So we're looking at different forms of jeans. Jeans were invented in the late 1800s by Levi Strauss for mining, right? So like rugged outdoor stuff. If we take a look at the bottom here, you'll see different forms of boots, right? So lots of different boots, whether it's a more casual kind of sneaker looking thing, something more like this high top, or a chukka boot like this. You can see lots of different forms of boots through here. And again, it's meant to, or that form of footwear is meant to traverse the outdoors, or at least that was the original intention, okay? So everything is leaning a little bit more rugged, a little bit more masculine, and that's why guys really like his style, because it still feels manly, right? Like it still feels like there's something inherently like gritty about it, even though it's put together really well. Material type, so we talked about the jeans here. He just wears a lot of denim in general, right? And so denim, again, is just a tougher fabric, right? You think about denim as opposed to something like silk, you know, and denim's going to have much more structure, be more rigid, it's going to hold up to the elements more, as well as things like leather. So you can see he wears a lot of leather as well. And so with this trucker jacket here, this is a great example of something where it looks great, but it has that more masculine look and feel to things. You'll also notice that almost all the items have a little bit more of like a faded or distressed look to them. Nothing here is like shiny or new or bright. It almost looks like it's a little bit sun faded. You think about the difference maybe in something else like furniture, where you have like reclaimed wood or you know, beech wood, as opposed to something where it's got a lot of varnish or polish to it. And so it's not that either style is right or wrong, it's just right or wrong for you in some sense, like what you like and the looks that you're trying to put together. So if we're zooming in here, you can see that this has, you know, more of a faded, worn, kind of distressed look to it. And if we look at the jeans, it has that same kind of look and feel. Nothing over here is very shiny. Therefore, these items are going to pair really well together. And then on up, even to the t-shirt and the jacket, there's a very low level of sheen, or what we would call chroma, to these items. You'll notice he wears a lot of suede, and that inherently, right, so suede is going to look very muted and very matte, and it's not going to have that same level of sheen to it, right? So going down a little bit here, one of the things, though, that he likes to do is, while he's still retaining a lot of that kind of rugged look and feel with, you know, the chinos or the jeans, he'll also splash in a little bit of color or pattern, right? So you can kind of see this here, this here. There's little pops of things. Now, the way that he does this is very strategic. A lot of you guys like to just throw on stuff that is like fun and funky for the sake of it. A lot of guys will end up going into a store and they feel like they need to buy something, you know, with pattern or color that's very outlandish, just for the sake of it, just for the sake of diversity. What you usually find out is, once you bring that back into the closet, like, it doesn't pair with anything, you never wear it, you have no idea how to put it together in an outfit, and so it just kind of sits in the back of the closet, right? One of the things that you'll notice is that when he is doing pattern, he's usually using other elements around it to tone down that pattern, right? So you'll see here we have a very neutral pair of pants and a neutral jacket, right? Neutral, by the way, a lot of people throw around that term. It basically means a color. It doesn't basically. It means that it's a color that you don't see on the color wheel. So this includes browns like tan and grayscale, so black through white. You'll see here, like, let's just single out these photos for a second. White shoes, tan pants, white undershirt. White undershirt, tan pants, and I would bet if he's got a shoe on, it's either going to be a brown or it's going to be in grayscale. Now, the reason for this is because those colors, being neutral, will basically pair with anything, right? And so we can get away with doing more bold stuff next to that. And so when we have something with color or pattern that we're trying to pair, it's usually a good idea to have that be your lead singer, so to speak. And then everything around it, what we're going to do is we're going to tone that down. We're going to make it so that those items are very, very pairable. They're very neutral. So it's kind of a good a good way to think about pairing outfits and even structuring your closet. Like, we usually recommend guys have at least 50% neutral colors in their closet so they can wear that other 50% of colors, patterns, etc. that are a little bit louder. Okay, so again, you can see that when we have the loud kind of thing here, we're pairing it with something more subdued and neutral, right? Here. It's almost like a 50-50 split. It's the easiest way to pair outfits together, or one of the easiest ways to pair outfits together, okay? So you can sprinkle in a little bit of that boldness too. But here's the other thing. When you're looking at some of this, you can still see that even when he's doing the pattern and the color, that it is a bit more subdued and it's still very muted. It's not shiny. It's not over the top. It's not loud in terms of that chroma level. It still has that sun-faded, almost reclaimed wood type of thing that we were talking about, right? And so, again, you can see how it pairs really well with, all the way down through the bottom. The shoes are made from canvas, right? So very, very, not shiny. Twill, so cotton chinos, cotton shirt, everything is just very, very muted all the way through and has that sort of rugged look and feel, even when we're doing the pattern, okay? So, just some thoughts to get you through with Ryan Reynolds style there. Now let's talk about the individual items that you should be looking to add in. Number one would be jeans. If you have no jeans, here's what you should be looking for. Definitely some form of dark wash blue, like this. Little dressier, can go with a ton of stuff. You want some form of black or gray, typically. Being a neutral color, they're going to pair with basically anything, right? So those are definitely the top two pairs of jeans to get. We'd certainly be looking at a pair of tan chinos, right? So something like this you can pair, again, with almost anything because it's a neutral color. So a great fitting pair of tan chinos, so just cotton pants, essentially, right? Some form of undershirt, right? So some form of tank top like this. You can see the white tank in a lot of different elements here, and you can wear that almost underneath everything. Now, if the tank is a little bit too out there for you, just get a white t-shirt. It kind of holds the same thing, and you can do it just like he's doing it here underneath some of these jackets, okay? So then we come to another item, which would be layering pieces. Now, layering pieces, they don't have to be heavy coats like this. A lot of the time, layering pieces are just going to be things like I'm wearing right now that are very, very thin, lightweight, and that you keep on, right? Like, he's not going somewhere and then taking this jacket off. Like, this is part of the outfit, right? So this jacket is meant more for style purposes than anything else. And so the jackets that I would be looking at doing, he wears a lot of this style of jacket, which is called a trucker jacket, okay? So a trucker jacket is going to have twin pockets on the front, usually a buttoned front pocket, but sometimes a zipper too. It's going to have the collar like this. He kind of raises his. You don't need to do this necessarily. I always feel a little bit awkward when I do it. I feel like it just tends to stand out quite a bit. So you don't need to do that, but it'll have your regular flapped collar. And then a key element of this is that the jacket is cut a little bit shorter than the arms, right? So you can see here that the arms are actually much longer than the jacket. Very, very common style of jacket. Many, many brands carry these. So at the very least, we'd be looking at a denim trucker jacket, but a suede trucker jacket is a great option as well, especially if you're trying to step things up, make it a little bit nicer. Leather is more high quality in some sense, or expensive than denim, right? So you therefore are dressing it up just a little bit more than the denim. So, you can get both. So that's a really good start. And then also, too, for shoes, we'd be looking at 100% some form of Converse. This guy wears more Converse than probably any other celebrity. You can see he's got the high tops, the low tops, right? All sorts of different types. You can see that they're in grayscale, too, white. They'll pair with everything. So black or white is a really good option for those. We'll go through and talk about where you can get some of those and some tips in just a second here. And then, of course, having like a staple, we kind of talked about this already with just T-shirts, grayscale, right? So forms of gray, forms of black, forms of white, make them a little faded, a little distressed, good to go, okay? Oh, and then I would say, lastly, probably a pair of boots. So just some form of suede boot. So it could be a chukka, like this one, a Chelsea. That's a really good option as well when you don't want to wear some form of sneaker, all right? So those are kind of the go-to items. I'd say if we were going to throw one last one in there, we do some kind of statement piece. Short sleeve or long sleeve, something with some print, something with some pattern, something fun. And the way that you're going to do it, or that you can do it, is you can put a layer on top just like this, all right, over something, and that tones down the pattern. It makes it more palatable to the eye so that the pattern isn't crazy and super noticeable. Or you can pair something underneath it. So you could take a tank top or a white t-shirt and put it underneath something like this and wear it open just a little bit, kind of like he's wearing here and here. And whether you wear it opened or closed is kind of up to you. So the statement piece can kind of act like a layer over that plain t-shirt. But remember what we talked about with the pairing. Usually when you have something that's a little bit more out there, loud, etc., we want to pair it with something that's a bit more toned down and neutral, kind of like what we're seeing here. All right? So hopefully that makes sense. Let's talk about where you can get some of this stuff, okay? So he buys a lot of his stuff from some very specific stores, and I'm going to tell you exactly where to get all this stuff, all right? So let's talk first about where you'd go for a lot of the basics and definitely some forms of that kind of more rugged stuff. Rag & Bone. Okay, so Rag & Bone, some of you guys will be familiar with this. It's not, you can find it in Nordstrom. You can find it in Bloomingdale's. They make great jeans, so they have many different fits of jeans. Most of you guys are going to be in what they call their Fit 2, which is their slim-ish fit, or their Fit 3, which is their athletic fit. So their slim is not overly slim. Most of the guys, I mean, we've worked with 1,300 guys at this point. The majority of them are going to be in about a Fit 2. So some kind of some denim. So we talked about, you know, the plain blues, the grays, the blacks, etc. That would be good. And then of course some layering pieces too. Like you can see some denim jackets like this trucker jacket. Another good thing that these guys do really well is t-shirts and Henleys. So Henleys look like this. So they're just kind of a 3-button shirt, kind of like a polo, but you can see that they make it in the short and the long sleeve versions. Fun fact, James Bond wore this exact Henley in white in the last 007 movie. So kind of, if you look through here, you can see that almost everything has that similar vibe that we just talked about. Sun-faded, worn, rugged, utilitarian, that sort of aesthetic you can see sprinkled through this entire brand. Nothing is overly shiny or bright. Everything kind of has that worn and rugged look to it. Okay, so this is definitely your first stop for things. We talked about Converse. Converse are probably the easiest thing to add into your wardrobe, right? Here's your pro tip. Do not get the regular Converse. You're going to get the Chuck 70s, okay? So that's a slightly upgraded version of your regular Converse. They are infinitely more comfortable and better quality. I would say get a black and a white, right? Pretty simple. Your next brand would be Todd Snyder. Now, Todd Snyder does a great job at sort of balancing the fun and interesting with the capsule, staple, you know, core wardrobe stuff like gray tees and sweaters and such, right? Again, you can see that all the materials lean a little bit more natural. Nothing's rugged and shiny and over the top. And you can find some really fun pieces here too for layering, etc. So you'll see a lot of that with texture, right? So something like this. But you have plenty of those jacket pieces that we talked about. This would be a great place to buy some chinos. So we talked about cotton pants. Be great for that, as well as if we're trying to work in just a little bit of color. Another piece that we didn't see that he wears a lot of is these cardigans, right? So again, just a layering piece that you can wear, say, over a t-shirt or tank with jeans, kind of like we talked about, all right? Finally, a couple of last brands here. Wax London, this is going to be the most, let's say, loud statement items. These guys do a great job at layering pieces, so like overshirts and jackets and such. This is exactly where I'd go for that, as well as maybe some knitwear, so some polos and things of that nature. They do a great job at adding texture to their items. If you're looking for a fun, funky shirt or jacket, this is a place to do it. Again, this is the spice on top of your outfits. Don't go crazy here. You don't need a lot of this stuff, right? We only need some dashes of hot sauce. We don't drink the entire bottle. Finally, you're looking at OG, all right? So Generale is essentially great with texture, all right? So the textures that you'll see here, they steer into that slightly more outdoorsy kind of rugged looking thing. It's good quality basics. One of my favorite brands for that sort of thing. It's a little bit more expensive than some of the other places that we just took a look at. But if you are in the market for, again, those high quality basics, which most of our clients, they like that, right? Then this is a place to go. And you'll have little statement pieces here and there, but nothing over the top, as you can see. Some of their stuff is a little bit more oversized, so for our guys who are a bit more fashion forward, this is definitely the place to go. You can still find plenty of things that are a bit more slim fit through here, but you have to look at the pant fit, because again, a lot of this is pretty oversized, just kind of following with what we're seeing trending right now. But again, you can find plenty of stuff that still fits a bit closer to the body. All right, so recapping, you got Rag & Bone, you got Wax London, Converse, Todd Snyder, and OG. All right, so essentially, That is it. Now go have some fun, explore those brands, take the tips we just talked about in terms of pairing and style, and get yourself some items if you feel so inclined. And of course, if you need help with any of this stuff, you know exactly where to find us. We build full wardrobes for guys, educate you on what looks best on you, and you have a lot of fun doing it. So get you an entire closet of stuff that you actually love that actually fits you. All right? Hope this helps, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.